Welcome to Integrated Math 3. On this episode, Stevenson will demonstrate we have these properties. Now we're going to practice using them in combination with each other. So what we're going to do is I want to show you how can we use log properties to write a condensed log into expanded form. So on the right, you can see here's all the properties, and we're going to use those as a reference. So let's look at the first example. This says log base 5 of the quantity 7x cubed. Now you might be looking at this going, well, geez, where do we start? Well, my suggestion is start with the overall operation, which in this case is multiplication. You might be thinking, oh, we have that power though, Stevenson. We can't use the power rule until, look, it's a single argument inside the log that's being raised to the power. Unfortunately, that's not the case here. So the first thing I want to do here is recognize this is a product. So I want to use my product rule here for logs. So I'm going to separate this as a sum. Now remember, the base is still 5. The base that doesn't change here at all. Make sure you're good with how you're writing this. Okay. Now, this first log is done. We cannot do anything more to it, right? Look at the properties. It's no longer a product. It's not a quotient. It's not a power rule. It doesn't have a 1 in the argument. The base and the argument don't equal each other. So this log is done. Now, look at the next log. This can be simplified further. See how it follows the power rule here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that exponent and move it to the front of the log, because that's what the rule tells me to do. And that's it. Now we're done. This is the log that we started with, but in expanded form. Now let's look at the next example. This says natural log. So remember that just means it's base E. So natural log of the quotient 2t to the power of 7 divided by r to the power of 6. So we have a lot going on here. So we do have those exponents. I'm sure you see those. So we're going to have to use exponent rule. We do have a product between 2 and t. So that's going to be product rule. And the overall structure of the argument, though, is a quotient. So that's where we're going to start. So have your list handy. So we're going to do quotient rule first. Let's look at this first log. Look inside the argument. Notice it's a product. So now this structure is very similar to the previous example we just did. So we're going to follow the same idea. We're going to do the product rule of logs first, or the product property. Then we're going to do the power rule for the logs. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate this as 2 times t to the power of 7. So that is the first product there. Now this log, we can do the power rule here. So because the basis is by itself, we can take the 6 and move it out front using the log power rule. This log is done. There's nothing more we can do. So we're just going to rewrite it as we work down, because if you look on the left here, there's still one more thing we can do here. Log of 2 is done. There's nothing more we can do with our properties. However, did you recognize this one? T to the power of 7, we can use the power rule. Now, I want to make a comment on the use of parentheses or not. In this particular case, I do not need parentheses. So I could write my answer like this. The reason this works is because of order of operations. I would go left to right, which means I would put these two together first, and then I would do this one. Now, right now we're practicing expanding, but eventually we're going to have to bring these back together. So parentheses do matter. In this problem, though, I can go without, because even if I don't have them in this case here, I'll still get the same correct answer. You have to be careful with subtraction, though. Okay, so if you just want to be cautious, go ahead and put parentheses on this first log quantity that we expanded. That guarantees that those elements will come back together in that log when we learn how to put these back together.